Hello, my name is Vytautas. Welcome to another episode of the Buchonis Banter channel. This time I'm gonna take you to April the 18th, back at Angrignon Park, at yet another phase of this development, and we can call it an expansion of the bird sound world there. Here we're starting to talk about multiple registers and a kind of a full-scale orchestra where the birds and other creatures, if there are other creatures, occupy a particular part of the register. It's going to get so colorful that at this point, I think it would be best if I guide you while we both listen, me and yous in plural, viewers, we both listen to the soundscapes. I'm going to introduce you the first one that we're gonna about to hear. We are right now at the La Salle side of the Angrignon Park, where the La Salle Cardinal hangs around, and we're going to find ourselves between two familiar birds. So that particular cardinal and a song sparrow that we met on April the 11th. In fact, the first song sparrow. We're even going to hear one of the song themes that we heard in one of the episodes of April the 11th, where I'm trying to remember the name of the episode right now. Watching Angrignon transform, something along those lines. So meanwhile, let's get onto into the April 18th atmosphere right now. Let's hear it. So this cardinal is very unique. It switches around back and forth between song themes. Usually cardinals go from one to another in my experience. Well, this one switches back and forth. So it did the oot before, and the oot a little bit. Now it's back to the oot. Meanwhile, we're hearing gulls. That's the same cardinal. So right now, the high register is occupied by the song sparrows. Here's another song sparrow. The low register by the cardinal, and the super low by these gulls and the goose. Canada Goose. Now this is a rarity. This is a wood duck. And here's a northern flicker, which is like a very big woodpecker. And second song sparrow. Now the same wood duck is squealing. Sorry for that moment of interference. Brown creeper. Another occupant of the high register. There you go, brown creeper. The wood duck again. That's really that song theme I'm remembering myself from the April 11th recording. So our cardinal is switching places now. And it will resume singing. So already I think we're starting to see a difference, how at least three different or four, maybe even register classes are being covered, where you're hearing the song sparrows in a high register, and the brown creeper, which is kind of a bird of a titmouse family related to the chickadee, is in a super high register. And then we go to a lower whistled register, which is occupied by the cardinal. And if you go even lower, you're gonna get to the gulls, and then finally, and the wood duck along with the gulls, and then finally to the Canada goose. And already, like at the moment, I was quite um, astounded to hear wood ducks in Angrignon Park for the first time ever, and brown creepers also. So the wood duck, I know that the wood duck stayed at least for the month of May, maybe even June. So it means that the ecosystem has gone into a new level of good health, we could say, and the fact that later we'll also have common terns, and we have brown creepers at least passing by. So let's hear another part of this first stage of the expedition, where we're still at the La Salle side of the pond which is like the definite marker of geography of this park, where we'll hear chickadees responding to each other, and it makes like a tetrachord of a scale. Da 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 da. It's like the first tetrachord of one of these Balkan and Near Eastern modes. Yeah da 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 da. And we're dealing with birds here. Isn't that awesome? So we're gonna hear chickadees, and we're gonna hear brown-headed cowbirds, and we're gonna hear one quintessential species of the month of April, of mid-April, from mid-April to early May, which is a ruby-crowned kinglet. So these ones stop for a few weeks, well, a good several weeks actually, from mid-April to, let's say, mid-May, like almost a month, really. And they go to more northerly places. Also, along with these chickadees, we're going to hear white-throated sparrow. So there will be this very tuneful whistled upper register that's that will have a very very interesting effect of juxtaposition of melodies in the same register. It's going to be quite what's the word? Nebulous almost, we could call it. Let's hear this. The flicker keeps going on. So melodically, we're really in the that key. Yodel, yodel. Aha. Here's the ruby crown kinglet. And the other song sparrow. And our first song sparrow is doing some staccato calls. Tick, tick. So that chatter, that sputtering chatter, is from the cowbird, brown-headed cowbird. That's another chickadee. Kitty, 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 kitty. Da, 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 da. Song sparrow. That's the white-throated sparrow that I was mentioning earlier. Da, 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 da. So now we kind of, this scale is becoming more chromatic. Da 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 and da 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 da. See what I mean? Okay, now we're hearing this cardinal. It's still the LaSalle side cardinal. It has changed position. Cowbird. And then there's another cardinal further off, which is a more Angrignon cardinal, in more Angrignon part of the park. By the way, that's not a dog, that's a goose, huh? Look. Oh. So this goose is providing a backdrop to the other action that's happening. It's like a terra firma of the soundscape. That's the second song, Sparrow. That's for that LaSalle Cardinal. Now it's switched to the low duck. Switching to the fast chordal song theme. There you go. Here is our first song sparrow. There you go. Right in the distance, there's an eastern phoebe. Phoebe. That's its sound. Common grackle. So the Angrignon series, since the beginning of this channel, this is a new species of bird, but it has been around since March, since mid-March, just as the red-winged blackbird is. Aha. Our LaSalle Cardinal has switched back to the rise and fall theme. Red-winged blackbird. And our first song sparrow. Response to the other song sparrow. And here's a mallard, which occupies the extreme low register. So you can imagine how it's really hard to remember everything from the start. There's so much happening. And if I do like I used to do earlier, I would just describe everything from the beginning. It would be so bloody mind-boggling that finally we would forget at least 50% of what's happening. Meanwhile, it's kind of nice to listen along and point out. So yeah, this was a really colorful experience in the first in the LaSalle side of the Angrignon Park pond. In the next in the next recording, which will be the last one for this episode, we're going to go at the side of the pond in a forest between the LaSalle Cardinal and the Angrignon Cardinals. And what's going to also happen is that an intermediary cardinal, like I would call it an intermediary cardinal that shares some attributes of the LaSalle cardinal, will take the almost the foreground. Also, we're going to hear more action from song sparrows, a goldfinch, ruby crown kinglet, and probably I'm forgetting some of the components, but I guess we can just oh, for sure we're going to continue to hear that goose barking there, and and maybe we can see that we will have passed the territory of the goose, because we're going to hear it still on the side, but now we're going to be closer to some new individuals that are more proper to the, well, proper, I'm using that in the French term, more typical of the Angrignon side of the park. So let's hear it. Yeah, by the way, we have this red-winged blackbird quite in the foreground right now. This one. Goldfinch. And that's the cardinal. We heard this toot 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 before, so it like switched back. And back to the fast chordal song theme. And back to the slow one. That kind of switching around is quite it's quite typical of the cardinal, of every cardinal actually. It's a goldfinch. Yeah, we're still hearing it switching around. And this titi is are these like small motifs that a red-winged blackbird adds between its song sentences, those ones, and those tipping sounds, these chirping sounds, are quite typical of an adult red-winged blackbird. Titi, that's a brown-headed cowbird. This one. The goldfinch keeps going. Song sparrow keeps going. The cardinal keeps going. So you have a really full-blown soundscape right now. So literally we have like two cardinals doing the same choral song theme. Now there's a new one doing the downward slide theme. And that's what I would call the intermediary cardinal because it shares some attributes of the LaSalle one. That one. Exactly. It's very similar to the latter part of the downward slide theme of the LaSalle Cardinal. So as the temperatures become milder, balmier, as things bloom greater and greater, so do the plants particularly bloom more and more. Gradually, we're hearing more and more colorful soundscapes. So here we had some species on territory, some of them migrants, some of them no. We also had some passing migrants, and those are ruby-crowned kinglets and white-throated sparrows. White-throated sparrows, they are birds of the deep woods where there is particularly lots of spruce. And some of them that pass by here is places like the Angrignon Park and other green spaces, and like various wooded areas, neighborhoods. They go to the deep woods, some more northerly, some closer to us, but we can enjoy them from, let's say, later mid-April to also early May, along with the ruby crown kinglets that come a little bit earlier, more towards earlier mid-April. And we can also enjoy some species, some migrants on territory like song sparrows and red-winged blackbirds and northern flickers, Canada geese, gulls, and in essence, it's becoming more and more colorful. So we're hearing different registers, and we're seeing how members of the same soundscape occupy their particular spots. And it's made in such a way that you could hear everything very clearly. That some like take precedence, but you would never, or you would seldom have a scenario where you would never be able to hear something because it's like designed almost in a quasi divine way that everything has its space, if not in the current momentary spectrum, at least in time. So we all have our turn to shine in a natural soundscape, and that's how good orchestration in music works. That's how a good band works. As a musician, I could see a parallel right away. And meanwhile, the viewer and the listener, the observer gets really immersed in this whole action. So right now, what I showed you is only some of my April the 18th expedition. It's like, I think it's the, what's 50, 60%? I'm not sure. It's a major part, but there's more waiting that is also quite exciting, including when me and my assistant Virginie at that time, we went to the Angrignon side of the park to meet on other cardinals. And juncos and other species. The juncos, which are also migrants, had come even earlier in late March, that are also passing migrants. So they would be gone, say, to late April. And flicker up close, red-shouldered hawks we're going to hear, and a lot more. So this will be it for now. Thanks a lot for listening to the Buchones Banter channel, and see you later.